Progress.
Not too bad. I'm going to adjust it just a little bit and then Sophie, you can go ahead. Okay, I hereby call this meeting to order, and we're going to start with roll call. Please say aye when Anisha calls your name. Okay. Commissioner Archit?
Aye.
Commissioner Ashley? Commissioner Ion?
Aye.
Commissioner Brandon?
Aye.
Commissioner Caleb?
Aye.
Commissioner Ethan?
Aye.
Commissioner Jolie? Commissioner Monvik?
Here.
Commissioner Mason?
Aye.
Commissioner Miles? Commissioner Samita?
Aye.
Commissioner Sarah?
Aye.
Commissioner Sophie?
Aye.
Commissioner Miles?
Aye.
Commissioner Yasmin?
Oh, wait,
She's
coming.
Okay.
She's like, okay.
Okay, great. So now I would like to open this meeting up to public comment. Great, there's none. And the approval of minutes from last meeting, everyone just like look to the back of your agendas. Skim it. If there's anything wrong, let us know. But if there's not, we're gonna go ahead and continue. Okay, can I have two people, like one move to approve this and then 1 second? Okay, Ion moves to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, Archit seconds. Okay, and now we'll go around. If you approve of the meeting minutes from last meeting, say aye. If you don't, say nay. Okay, I'll go first. Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. Now for our announcements.
Okay, I just have two quick announcements. One of them is just a resource that you all can use, and I'll see if I can scan this so I can put it in Slack for you all, and I'll also have it at subcommittee meetings. But this was mailed to me for Youth Commission, which is basically, it's a youth leadership guide for Santa Clara County. So it is different resources, different nonprofit organizations, their kind of what their group is. So it gives a little bit more information and their contact information. So it has, let's see, they have a Momentum for Health, which is a advisory board. There is a Freedom Center, different clinics. There's also different city agencies. So like obviously we're in here, so we're a city agency for Youth Commission. Cupertino Activity Board, so who we met with last week for Pizza and Politics, Saratoga, Gilroy, Los Altos, Morgan Hill, all the different cities, basically their equivalent of Youth Commission. So it gives their description and contact information. So I figured I would share this with you all because it's a good resource for some of your events that you have coming up to do outreach. It could be reaching out to any of these organizations, one for an opportunity for collaboration, an opportunity to kind of pick their brain if you have questions for your events of like I think for some of you who met Cupertino or Saratoga students last week, it's an opportunity to build more of your network and also ask them of like, hey, we have this event coming up. Have you done one similar? Do you have any resources? A lot of what we say in working in recreation is you do a lot of like beg, borrow, and steal. So like it's always really helpful instead of always having to recreate the wheel for something, of just making a connection and having that outreach and working with them and figuring out like what worked for you, what didn't work for you. Like I know for our Teen Wellness Day, something that helped to spin that idea is, I want to say it was the city of Mountain View, their youth commission. They were able to secure actually like a pretty big grant. So they did a Teen Wellness Day workshop, and their workshop got like hundreds of teens. It's like a half-day event. They had different, like, I'll bring their brochure because their event was huge. They had a bunch of different prizes. They had crumble cookies, like they had a bunch of different sponsors. So it was a really big event. So it's a great idea for you all to kind of network and see how you can build your events and make them more than they can be. So I will share this with you all, try to scan it, as well as I'll bring it to subcommittee meetings if you want to use those for outreach and contact. And then my next update's just a fun one of, I just wanted to recognize while we have everybody together. I know we had some of our October birthdays, but we have 3 November birthdays this month. and I know I'll recognize them in Slack. But I did want to do a shout out to Brandon because his was on the first. So just happy belated birthday to Brandon. And Keisha's birthday is coming up, and Arch's birthday is coming up later this month. So I just wanted to give a shout out to our November birthdays. We'll do our shout outs how we have been in Slack. Just wanted to show you all some extra loving for your birthdays. So I wanted to share that as an announcement for everybody too, for our November babies. Okay, and that's pretty much it in terms of announcements.
Okay, so moving into old business, recently we had our Oktoberfest fun run. I personally wasn't there. I'm sorry, guys. I had a tournament. So do a couple people want to share on how it went, what they think we want to do for our February fun run, like ideas? First, let's do how it went. At least 3 people. Yes, me.
I think it's like a pretty well organized event. I stayed behind and just handed out medals to like all the little kids and stuff, and that was really fun. And I think a lot of people enjoyed themselves overall. So I think it was good.
Sarah?
Yeah, I agree with all that. I know that Anisha and I were like, we were the spirit of the event. We were cheering for everyone in Campbell. And it was just really cool to see everyone like get so pumped about such an event. But I think in the future, maybe we could like have a little bit more of like indications for like people that are like other patrons of the park. Because like there was a lot of people that were crossing like over the race finish line and they weren't supposed to because it was no clear signage as far as well.
Okay. Anyone else? One more person? Ion?
So me and Mason were at the water booth, and I think that went better than it would have this time. Now a lot of people got confused with the 10K and 5K path. I don't think we had anyone going the wrong direction too. That's pretty good.
Anyone else? Yeah.
Me and Brendan were stationed at the 10K and 5K path, and it's pretty minor change, but like the sign for the 10K and 5K path, like it said turn right, but the person walking it said like it like indicated to go left. So
Okay, so better
just a little bit more,
signage.
attention to that, I guess.
Okay, so we have one more fun run this year, and it's the Valentine's Day fun run. And usually for this one, we try to do something more. Like we have a booth, like last year we had a booth. And last year we also did a shoe drive, right?
Mhm.
So this year we want to like contribute more than we do to the Oktoberfest fun run, you know, because it's our second time. So is there any ideas to what we want to contribute for next fun run?
This could be like anything that's going off of your subcommittees, like how to branch that out. It could be having a table to advertise for your upcoming events, which I think would be a good way since a lot of everyone's events are going to be in the new year, pretty much after the fun run. I don't think there's anybody's events that are before the fun run, so it's a good opportunity for you all to advertise. It could be helping find a way of like upping registration with teens and seeing a bit bigger population with the teen population. That's something that Youth Commission could take on. But would love to hear from what you all think and other ideas.
Okay, so I think that the advertising for our upcoming events is a really good idea because the health committee has their wellness day after in March, and this is in February, by the way, because it's Valentine's Day. And then I think there's a diversity day that the other committees are planning, and one more, what were they planning? Career and education.
Opportunities fair.
And opportunities fair. All of these are after February, so I think it'd be a really great idea to advertise at the fun run. And then we can also be like, oh, hey, like we're Youth Commission, you should like totally sign up next year, all of those topics. Anyone else?
I think we can like encourage people to like follow on social media. So like that'll also help us.
Wow, we are shy today. All right, let's up the communication, Sarah.
I think we could do like, we can have a little bit more like, interaction. So like we could have like a spin the wheel,
Ooh, okay.
and like for like little like new prizes, we can get something inexpensive. And I think that could just like that, like people are attracted to that because I know if I saw a wheel, I would be able to spin it.
All right,
And
that's
cute.
Samantha.
Yeah, I really like that idea because like the other booths at the fun run, if they have a wheel, like our youth commission goes to it.
Yeah.
So if we have a wheel, same thing.
Okay, that's good. Anyone else?
Maybe it could be like every like sort of milestone that they like run in their path, that could be like one extra spin or something like that.
Okay.
Or if like maybe it could be like a raffle instead of like a spin the wheel, but that could also be worth in terms of like getting tickets each time you cross. So
Nice. Okay. So next up we have our pizza and politics debrief. I feel like most commissioners were there, so thank you for that. And then for all of the speakers, good job. And I think it's a really good opportunity to like meet all the other commissions, hear about what they're doing, and like we can, like Gracie said, like borrow and steal some of their ideas. Is there anything that people want to say about it?
Sure, I'll go. For me personally, since I have a history of debate, I felt like the formatting was a little bit interesting compared to what is typical. So I would say like extending speech and crossfire rounds would probably allow the arguments to be further explained and would allow more nuance in the conversation, I think at least.
Okay. Make debate section like more realistic.
Um, just increasing the times across the board for speeches and crossfire rounds.
also building off of like how this is a politics event for teens. I don't know if we're gonna have enough like non-commissioners at the event to be able to do this next year, but like if they could actually vote for whose debate they found better, like who won, that could like sort of give the idea of voting or something like that, which could provide meaning to the event.
So give voting to the teens in attendance.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like we need to obviously advertise more because I know like we were all trying to do the job, but I feel like we're missing out could have been a little bit more, like we could have had more teams. Because I know, I think the Cupertino, youth commission, at least for Cupertino High School, there was like some teacher giving out extra credit for students that attended that lecture or the politics. So I think if we could get some of like to that at our high schools, it could like really feel like a lot.
Did anyone talk to their teachers about offering that?
Speech and debate, or not speech and debate, the speech teacher.
You're in?
Yes, I think.
Yes.
What did they say when you talked to them?
He said that he might like think about it. That's about it.
I know that he was definitely advertising because a couple of my friends who are like juniors and seniors in his class, like they were like mentioning that he was telling them about it. So he definitely tried. I don't know if they went, but
And that's where it's hard of like, this is where I'd love to get more of your feedback because this is an event that they do, every other year. So, and it's been in partnership with the 3 cities. And so I know there's one challenge of like, not like it's far, but like we're all Campbell and then you have to go over to Cupertino. So know that that is a piece of it where it's harder for some students to maybe get over there versus if it was here instead. And I know you can still, I would love to see more advertising in the future too. I also know you can only do so much of like if you ask the teachers, part of it is following up with the teachers. So if you only say it one time and you never heard anything, that would be something I'd ask you again of like, same with how I would connect with all of you. And we have these meetings is having that follow up because you can only say it one time. And if it doesn't go anywhere, it's still your responsibility to help with the follow up. Now, once you follow up and if they still are like, well, I just can't offer it, or if they told their class no one comes, that's a totally different story. But I think helping with that and getting more, I'd love to hear still more of your feedback of things like giving voting to the teens in attendance, or do you think the segments that they had were something that were of interest to you all or would be of interest to other teens, or did you find like what are other things that you would like to see in the future for that type of event?
This is just a bit of a tangent, but I think having a bit more time to advertise would have been nice. I think it was kind of sudden, because like I know I was talking to, this is just about more about the debate part, but I think we could have gotten stronger debaters, like if we had more time to talk with the speech and debate, like people who are in it rather than the advisors, like the actual students are in it, but that's just like a side tangent. So.
Yeah, if we could get a date set earlier, it'd be a lot
Yeah.
easier.
Well, I think we had Pizza and Politics the date like from August, from when we had orientation. So we had that piece of it early. So I think that's where like the whole year creeps up, but like it creeps up really fast. Where like Pizza and Politics was something we had on our agenda. We didn't have all the details for it yet. So I know that part's hard. But when we met in August, you technically get the date of like, here's your schedule. We're gonna have Pizza and Politics. It's the event itself is tricky because you also start your term in September. So it's like we are getting those event details, like all the commissions aren't meeting until September. So they're not figuring out what the event is until mid-September. So you really only have
Couple.
like maybe 6 weeks before the event to be able to get it rolling. So I totally understand of having the short turnaround of like, I think for any of these, it's always nicer when you have more time to get things. It's just being really intentional with the time that you do have so that you can maximize it. Cause I know that is part of the challenge with this event is that when it's in October, your term starts in September. All the commission's terms start in September or mid-September. So it's really hard to like throw everything into Pizza and Politics right out of the gate when you're trying to figure out your subcommittees and your work plan and this and that. So I also want to recognize that it's a very busy start, and to have a larger event like that right out of the gate is tricky.
Okay, how did we feel about like the event itself, like about our contributions, like our speeches, our moderating, all of those things?
I think Sophie and Mason did. It's all right there.
Yeah, but that's okay.
You can go first.
Oh, I said, I think Sophie and Mason did like a really good job with their speaking parts.
Thank you.
This is actually more related to the previous one, like the previous discussion, but I was thinking that maybe the debate, like what the debate was about could be more related to local government.
Yeah, I thought that was weird that it was just plastics.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think they could probably change that. Yeah.
Something more like politically relevant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick look at each segment and kind of get thoughts from each ones of like, would you want to see that us, like, let's say segment 1 to the mayor's roundtable. Thoughts on that? Is it a segment you'd want to like have come back in the future, and or like what would you change about it, if anything?
Mondic?
I would like say that like I noticed that like after the mayor's roundtable ended, a lot of people like left, and I think that that's because like their teachers probably said like ask a question there or something, because there was like a lot of engagement. I was pretty impressed. I think that maybe as like a trick, I guess we could like have the mayor's roundtable be later and have like a debate earlier. Also, just have like I'm guessing that the debate was actually decently engaging, especially if we can like make it more tied to like local government or like problems teens face. But like having it be first and like having like discuss about it would like have a more like, oh wow, this is a full house event sort of thing. And then afterwards, people will obviously try to stay to like ask the question to like the mayors.
That's a good one. Thank you, Monvic.
Yeah, I also thought like, I think one of the questions at the event itself was like, I think it was the last question that the moderator asked the mayors was what they wanted like the forum to ask them. So maybe like if beforehand they could give some like topics, we could advertise some topics that the mayors like are trying to advertise in their own communities. I think that would help sort of open up the forum to questions that they are prepared to answer, but also emphasize the fact that the forum can ask the mayors whatever they're, they have concerns about.
Okay. Anyone else?
Oh yeah, I just want to add on to Monday. I was gonna say that the debate was very, very intense. And I think that like I was sitting on the edge of my seat. It was actually really interesting and I learned a lot. So I think it would be really good. That's like the opener.
Actually, that's something to add as well. Well, I don't know if so my mom, since she works at the city of Cupertino now, she was talking about how in the past mayors would, maybe not for this event specifically, but in the past and other events, they would debate each other. And I'm thinking, even though team debates are cool, what if we were able to do it with the mayors, like maybe there are different events. I think that would just be really interesting, because then you could have, the people who are actually doing the policies and enacting them talk about it, and then at the end, we can have questioning to them, maybe like relating to the debate or just policies in general.
Yeah, so like a debate / roundtable. That
Yeah.
sounds interesting, yeah.
I want to add on to non-Vic. He commented about the engagement and how it was good. Although the engagement was highly scripted, I mean, the other guy, we were like looking at the, for segment 2, like the questions they were supposed to ask. And I think like when you see like youth commissioners stand up and they're like youth commissions.
And they're reading off their phone.
Exactly. It might like subdue like the other youth or audience from like, participating and asking questions. So I think maybe if you can find another way around that, to not make it scripted or something like that.
Less obvious.
I feel like if it was
Exactly.
more rehearsed, it would be better. Like if you memorize the question, just stood up instead of going, oh, let me ask you the question.
Yeah,
And
it
it would be like less scripted looking.
Yeah, I think that kind of discouraged others from like, like standing up and asking questions. So if we can fix that the next time.
Okay, Yasmin?
I actually have like a question about the team debate. Was the topic they were discussing, if I'm not mistaken, was it already voted on? Like, wasn't it already?
It was already-
Yeah.
Yeah, so wouldn't it be a better idea to use someone like as an actually like. We're not looking for something that's more like,
Political.
I guess so, yeah, something that's like more relative.
If it already happened, then like, what's the point of debating? Because it already happened.
Yeah, one other-
It's already.
Yeah. So that's just going back to like a more related and political debate topic. Okay, is there anything else?
I still want to get like just a little bit more segment, and then I want to check about like, did they think the time?
That's why I
was
was-
like too long?
Yeah, that's already been asked. They said, oh, no. They said it's my part.
Okay, did anyone have anything to say on segment 2? So this was the one that me and Mason were speaking.
Like going like back to Arch's point, like I feel like the planted questions in the beginning, like as a planted question myself, in segment 1, I didn't have to say anything at all because I was like surprised how good people were like engaging. But in segment 2, like the one that you and Mason were speaking in their teens round table, it felt like no one was gonna say anything unless we did like ask the question. But I think he's right that like we're gonna have, I think that could have been better. Like thankfully my question was like really small, so I could just like memorize it and stand up. But like if we're like given the questions like maybe 2 days in advance or something, it would probably help.
Were you
And it's
guys-
understandable that like people wouldn't really want to like ask youth commissioners that many questions because we're not really politicians in any way. But I'm thinking that there could be one way to like make the entire thing more engaging because the memorable thing for the event would likely be the debate or like the beginning, like the first segment. But like again, seeing that obviously we're doing great things as teams, but seeing that we are just teams, I think it's gonna be less likely to get people engaged or thinking about what like we talked about.
Do you think, from everyone's opinion, I think Mason and Sophie did a fantastic job. So for those of you who weren't there, who didn't see it, they did awesome. And for those of you who were there, agree, they did awesome. I was very, very proud. I want to get everyone's feedback on this because this was also my first time seeing how their event went on. It's primarily operated through City of Cupertino. And I want to be able, I'll meet with them to give feedback on the event and how we can improve on it and ways we can build upon it. The segments usually always kind of change, is my understanding from the previous years. I know they kind of always do the mayor's roundtable. But I wanted to get your thoughts on, do you think segment 2 was something that like was needed? Like, did you enjoy it? Was it something that you learned from, or if you weren't in youth commission, is it beneficial to you at all? Or is it something that we could revisit what that segment is? This, I'm asking a lot of questions. That, or is the event like only 2 segments? Does it need to have a 3rd segment? Because I can't remember who said it, but it's natural anytime you have an event you give like a break in between segments, you're gonna lose people. And it's tricky of like, because I definitely noticed the taper off of it was actually a pretty good size full room for the mayor's roundtable. And then you give people a 10-minute break, they leave. There was a decent amount for youth commission. And then for the debate, unfortunately, it was probably the least amount. It was pretty much majority commissioners in the room. So, and that's just a natural when you give people breaks in between events, it's much easier for people to make an exit. So I wanted to just kind of get people's thoughts on the length of the event and if like segment 2 was something that you felt was needed, is despite that they both did fantastic in it. And like, I love being able to watch you both up there, but like wanting to get from just like an outside perspective of like the content or like how it can be like for the segment itself.
Yasmin?
So, yeah, I do think that, like, not to say that you guys do a great job, really great, but I do think that was kind of like, both like not very necessary to have that whole entire segment dedicated to that, but instead to have maybe like, not like a booth, but like maybe some papers and flyers for people who might be interested in becoming these commissioners in the next year or the years after.
I do, sorry. I really do agree with that. I felt like, yes, it was fun, like talking about it and nerve-wracking, but I feel like a lot of people didn't really learn that much from it because it's just like, oh, like, what's your favorite part of this? And it's like not really helping anyone. But I do think that since it's like an event for the teens run by the teens, like you should still have like a segment or something that is like solely teens or commissioners. Maybe not a round table, but maybe like, I don't know, something more interactive and like inclusive.
Yeah, I think
Sorry.
like no, you're good. I feel like it would have been more engaging if like maybe the all like instead of just having one moderator for like the mayor's roundtable, maybe like a few people from
Yeah.
each commission would interact with their mayor instead of having it like super separated. Because I don't know, I think seeing that intersection would probably encourage some more people to be like, oh, maybe I could do this too, like interact with the mayor in my community. So maybe more interaction with the commissioners and mayors.
Yeah, I was actually thinking that too. I was like, oh, I would really love to go ask the mayor's questions and like not just moderating, but be able to ask them like, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about this? Okay, Caleb?
Yeah, no, like, I'm not, like, I think you guys did a great job, and there was like, I think there was value in doing it, it's just like, whether, not like me, but just like any other team would like, want to hear that. 7 p.m. I'm like, I'm on a
Yeah.
Tuesday night, like, y'all did a great job, but it's just like.
It was too long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess you need things too long, but yeah, I think like, if you really wanted the team to be on there, I'd enjoy it so much more, especially if I'm watching, not like you grilling them, but yeah, just asking them good questions, because the moderator did a good job. She's like one person, like, 3 mayors, like how many questions did you ask each mayor? If you were like up there, then like, you can go back and forth with them, and I mean, in fairness, you are most likely like just an average team, so you're just like taking their viewpoint of an average team, you're just like exploring it, so I just thought you know that way.
Yeah, I feel like it would be more of a conversation then instead of something that's just like scripted. Yeah. And I think that would make it more engaging.
Yeah, because speaking of scripted, I mean, I don't want to cast any shade on anybody, but I did feel like when they would ask you a question or listen, or any of the other people, any other commissioners there, there would be times it would be like, wow, I learned a lot from what you guys just said. Okay, now what do you think? And to me, like it just didn't sound as natural as you'd expect. And I think if we do what Caleb or some of the other commissioners here stated, I think it would definitely add to like the non-scripted part of it, and it would also add to just the interactivity of both the commissioners and also the mayors.
I have like an idea that like, seeing that like the major skills we learn as commissioners are like interacting with each other and like making sort of like spreading awareness about events and planning events. Maybe like we could have it like we split up the audience into like groups, like led by each commissioner, and they sort of like are given like a certain task and they have to like make a poster on it or like make a flyer on it or like make some sort of media like just like a short sort of detailed plan, I guess. So that's gonna like increase engagement while like still showing you that like, okay, these are the skills that you're gonna get when you become a commissioner. And like, this is what's important.
Similar to our, like, the rec meeting that we had, right, where we were all split into groups based on the colored dot on our paper. I think that's great.
Caleb?
Like my question though is that if everyone like generally seems to like the idea that more people on the commission should be more like not casually just but should be interacting with the mayors. Like my question then would be like, how far can I ask them things? Because the moderator is just like, I mean, sure, the moderator is asking like reasonable questions, but like, I'm not saying I would, but like, can I ask something like as extreme as like, I'm not gonna give an example, but like, how far can I like just take it? Because I like,
So,
I would like, I would just like learn more if I did it that way, but maybe at the same time, they would want to do that, right?
And I think, Caleb, I think that was kind of the purpose of the open, when you open the questions up to the audience. The only reason we had the planted questions was so that it wasn't like, oh, wait, let's open it up to the audience
I would say like
and need nothing. So
definitely be respectful of the mayor. Don't be like, well, that's stupid. Why would you think that? That's really rude. Treat them with respect and remember that this is being broadcasted, so don't say anything that you wouldn't want in public and don't come off as rude. So if they give you an answer and you disagree, you could just be like, oh, cool. Like it's really interesting to hear your perspective on that and then move on. Don't be like, why do you think that? You shouldn't think like that.
I think that's wrong. It's like some asking some extreme questions, but question.
and I think that's something that is like encouraged of like from people in the audience to ask like an honest question that you have. I think especially I would expect it from our commission of like there is definitely so using a way to ask a question, especially if it is more of a question that you feel passionate about. I think anytime you're talking with anyone, you should speak respectfully. If you're passionate about something, that's totally great. But you should ask them in a way of like, what's really the point of you asking the question? What are you trying to get out of it? And asking them in a respectful way. And like Sophie said, if they give your response, everyone's first of all entitled to their own opinion. That's also with Youth Commission. I don't expect you all to agree on everything. That's not how the world works. Not everyone agrees. It'd be a very weird world if everyone was like, yeah, we post all the time. Like you're supposed to have different opinions. And so the point of that is to be respectful of someone else's opinion and asking them in a respectful way as well. But I would encourage like, and I think that was the hope for this event when they opened it up to the audience for for the first two segments, to if they had any question that they had on their mind to ask it. And so I think the planted ones, I love the feedback of having it maybe be more under the radar for the planted questions, because I think those are beneficial for those moments. So that way you don't have an awkward silence, or to also help sometimes it like spurs those people who do have a question, like to see a couple other people ask. They don't know that those people were planted, but like it helps them to maybe feel more empowered to ask theirs because they select 2 or 3 other people ask before them. They don't need to know that it was a planted question, but maybe it's something the feedback could be in the next year of like, we know Monvic's going to be our planted question asker. Monvic, do you have a question that you really want to ask? Or the commission? Like, let's think of 1 or 2 questions here in the commission that is our planted question for the evening. And that could be something, but because I think there's definitely been a benefit of having a planted question, maybe more low key so that it's not as obvious of my question is that, and having that. But I think that was part of the intent was to hopefully have it be more open. So any teen would feel empowered to ask a question no matter what it was, and obviously hope that they're polite about it. And that was also the moderator's job of helping, like if someone asked a question that maybe was either disrespectful or like helping to rephrase it, navigate it, or if it was something of like asking our mayors, are you feel comfortable answering that, and figuring out a way to like keep the temperature.
Just like when you ask a question, like if you are truly passionate about it, you should be asking for information and not a reason to argue. Like you should be actually interested in what they have to say and not just a reason for you to like butt heads with them. Just putting that out there. Okay, I think that's enough for pizza and politics. Now we can work on to our work plan discussion. So I have a few things to say. I sent reminders in all of your commissions or subcommittees to please communicate via Slack. And the health committee, we did that during our subcommittee, so good job. And then the community committee, once I sent that, I saw a lot of talking, so really great job. The career and education committee, I'm gonna call you guys out. Literally no one except for Archit even reacted to the message that he sent. So there's really nothing going on there. So that's like not good enough, guys. I'm sorry, but that's not good enough. So you guys need to do better.
I was so sad when Elite Grace.
Exactly. Guys, you're hurting his feelings. That's not okay. So you guys like really need to be doing more about that. And because you guys you do have things to talk about, which are which businesses and internships do you want to potentially reach out to for your opportunities fair and who's going to be reaching out to who. And I did not see any of that. So yeah, anyway, we can move on to more in-depth stuff. So for our health committee, okay, so for our health committee, so we need more specific questions about like our plan is to cover 5 topics about safety: night safety, self-defense, like CPR, Narcan safety, and general safety, first aid. So we were planning on partnering with the PD and the fire department. Hopefully Gracie can reach out to them soon. But before we do that, we need to have a ready script. So in case they're like, oh, we can meet with you tomorrow, we know exactly what questions we want to ask and exactly what skits we want to film with them. So that is what health committee will be talking about in Slack. Is that understood? Does anyone have any questions, anything? Okay.
I'll talk about this in yeah. So for these, we're gonna talk about them a little bit in more depth because it's November. You have only a few meetings left of this year. There are, let's see, 3. And as far as like, I know no tangible work has happened on any committee level yet. I think, which I know it is hard. It goes by really fast. We have pizza and politics. There's been a lot of initial talking with plans, but there's been no tangible action yet. So I want to also acknowledge that I know some of these meetings go long. I get that. I don't want you guys to have tons of extra work outside of youth commission meetings. What happens is if you guys talk about these and you don't come to a resolution at these meetings and all we do is talk and not like, here's your action plan, you leave from here. And then I check what Sophie's saying. I check your Slacks. There's some communication, which I'm like, awesome. And then some of it goes by the wayside. And I get it. Everyone has outside things, but that's why of like, I kind of rope you back in of like, this is what we're leaving the meeting with of a tangible, like, this needs to be done in 2 weeks. This is the date. Who's doing it? Ashley's doing this. Sarah's doing this. Mal's doing this. And so that way, when you come into your subcommittee meeting, you're not just now for the first time after the next month going, okay, what's our plan again? Let's talk about the plan. You're coming into your subcommittee meeting, working on stuff, not figuring out your plan for the first time and then waiting till the following month to then start again. Because you'll only have 1 to 2 more subcommittees before January, and January is extremely fast. And so is February. Everyone's event in this room is more or less March. And February is a short month. There's a week off break for everyone in February as well. So everyone needs to start your tasks before January. Because when you come back January, it's following up with businesses or whoever you have coming to your events. It's not starting that in January. It's follow-up in January. So I want to go over these a little bit more in depth because right now, I think everyone's had a great starting point with everything. And we're starting with health, and then I'm going to go to career and education and community. For health, I still need some more information from all of you. I know Sophie was sharing that we'll get specific questions. I haven't reached out to PD and fire yet because I need to share with them your questions of what you want and specifically, and is that something that they can do? Because if they were to come back to me tomorrow and say, great, yeah, I can meet this Friday, like, are you ready to meet this Friday? Do you have what you need to meet this Friday? I have no idea. So like, I need to have from you all those tangible things to make sure that it works. For the Narcan piece for drug overdose, I know, I think it was Monvik. I need,
And Brandon.
and
Brandon, I'm so sorry. Brandon.
for both of you of like who the contact is, if you can share that with me, so that I can learn a little bit more information. I just want to tread, more mindfully with that topic. And just so you all are aware, and I think I've shared this before, anytime you submit your plans, they don't just come to me. I share them with my supervisor and our director. So because you all represent the city, all of your events have to be approved all the way up the chain. So that's also why I come back to these meetings to get feedback from some of these, so that way they're all in tune of like, yes, this is the correct direction for Youth Commission, or yes, we think this works, or is this tangible, and everything else. And I think because this is such a sensitive topic, we want to make sure that the resource like is going to be a reputable, credible resource. Kind of want to make sure what that's looking like. I also think that one wouldn't be the best fit for a skit. I think that would be more of one for your group, because I know you all talked about doing skits for a lot of these pieces of content. I think that one would be more of something that is
A demonstration.
or an interview of figuring out and sharing that more of information. And I'd love to see like who the resource is to learn more about that, or reaching out to, I know the Santa Clara County libraries did a Narcan training at a lot of the different libraries. I think it was last year or last spring. And so I haven't reached out to them, but I'd love to see like who their resource was, because I know the counties all got together to do a training. And this could be something of like, your group is sharing where our training's being held. So I think focusing on like, I know you're sharing like wanting to know like when to use it and how to use it, but having it be more of a resource for teens, because I'd love to know more of like your overall goals for your safety week of like, or is it helping to give these resources to teens also, like where can they go for trainings, or whatnot for that?
Yeah, so for our plan for the safety week, anyone correct me if I'm wrong in the subcommittee, most of our like skits were mostly going to be demonstrations actually. And then we also planned on having like a slideshow to go along with the video to have like learn more resources, or like if you want to get certified for CPR or learn how to do this, like here's a bunch of things that you can go to in addition to what we would gather from the interview from the fire department and the police department, and then hopefully the Narcan Society at MIDI.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Oh.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, and like for the skits thing, I would just like fill that for like the Narcan one. I was thinking more on the lines of like a 2 sentence spoken, which is like, oh, are you going to a party, carry Narcan? And then we just like roll
Yeah.
into like a demonstration about like what it is,
Yeah.
how to use it, and it's like serious.
So for our committee, I'm gonna set a goal for us to have like a concrete script by this Friday. Is that a reasonable timeline for everyone for the health committee?
So, I mean, for me.
Okay, great. Okay,
Want to touch on?
okay, so for our Teen Wellness Day, we need to create like a more clear timeline. I know we have the rough date that we want and the location at the community center, but we need to know like more specifically what types of booths we want to have there, what types of events we want for people, all of that fun stuff. So that is also something we will need to be talking about in Slack for our health committee. Is anyone have questions? Okay, great.
I'd say for your group for Teen Wellness Day, I would like to see some of that list like by your subcommittee meeting. So the next subcommittee meeting that you all have is on the 18th of this month. So I would say by that date, you have at least that initial first list of who you're going to have and what you want to have at Teen Wellness Day. So that way you can talk about it at the subcommittee. Like I know your first project is your safety week, but the Teen Wellness Day planning needs to start now also, because March 1st is it sounds way off. It's really not, because you really will have all of January, and then February, like I said, it's quick, and things need to be like solidified in February and like by early February, because then you'll be 1 month out from the event. So really, I'm like not trying to scare you, but it'll be like you have a month to plan Team Wellness Day, and Team Wellness Day is your big event, and your safety week is your passive event. So really trying to know that you'll have to focus on both. So I would say by the 18th for your group to at least have that first list so you can talk about it, and I can work with you at your subcommittee of what you want to have at Team Wellness Day.
Okay, so for career and education, your main event is your opportunities fair. And I know that you guys were planning another like social media campaign after the health committee safety week in January. So just a couple goals for you guys. I would definitely like to see more talking in Slack. I'll remind you if there's nothing there. And please respond to your commissioners' like notes and participate. Yeah, because you really do need to have like, you need to decide whether you want mainly internships and like free opportunities for teens to shadow for your opportunities fair, or like an actual job fair like we had last year where you can bring vendors in and all of those things. In addition to that, like you also need to start reaching out. Like you need to divide who's going to reach out to who, all of those things, because you shouldn't be doing that in your subcommittee meeting. Like you can't do all of that. So you need to talk to each other like while we're not here. Anyone have anything to say? Any ideas?
Your group, I'm also putting the same deadline of by next subcommittee. So by the 18th, your group needs to create a list of the resources or like opportunities that you want to have at the event. So I would say you don't need to start outreaching to them by the 18th, but I want the list by then so we can talk about it, because I also, with a lot of these communications, kind of what we talked about, there is a correct way of reaching out. And I know like some of our past commissioners know this from last year, but like, I would like to review like what email message you would send out to the vendors before you send it. It's a great learning opportunity for you all. And I think I have full trust in you, but like, I want to review to make sure like you're giving all the information that they need right out of the gate too, of like the time, the date, the place, what's their involvement, everything else. So I would love for by the 18th for your committee to have that list. So that means you'll have to do some research between now and the 18th of like, what are some volunteer opportunities in the area, or things of where you can figure that out of who you could invite to come. What are some jobs or different things that you think you'd want to have represented at that event, so we can talk about it and talk about that communication at that subcommittee. So that way, after that meeting, you can kind of go off and start doing that outreach after the 18th.
I want to shout out to Ashley because I saw on Slack that she sent out like a draft of an email that you can outreach, and I read it and it was really good. So good job. Also, I want to ask career and education, do you guys have a way in which you're leaning to more like internships or jobs, or like a combination of both?
We were thinking of like, I think we were saying like half the room of jobs and the other half volunteer opportunities.
Great. Did you need anything else for that committee?
I think just this piece, their social media.
Okay. So your social media campaign was supposed to be study habits, interview skills, and note-taking and test-taking advice. So we also need a plan for this. Again, more talking in Slack is what resources are you going to be using for this? Make sure that they're reputable. Hopefully you can have links if you're like, oh, if you want to learn more, have links to this. And then as a reminder that all content needs to be like created 2 weeks in advance before the post date so that Gracie and everyone who she needs to talk to can get it approved. In addition, like it's initially planned to April, but can the Career and Education Committee talk about if you're willing to move it to early May? Our term ends in August, by the way, so you'll have time.
It ends in May,
Or
but
it ends at the end of May.
It's end of May, but and it can be something, you don't have to decide that part tonight of moving it. But I wanted to float it because there's a lot in March, April, so I'm trying to be realistic with your group of making sure your opportunities fair is solid and then having time to be able to create that social media campaign and being able to do that.
The problem with having it in early May is it will have the opposite effect of what we want, because like either kids are already like doing their AP exams, or they're starting to like finish them, or like, start winding down, because of the end of the year is coming by. So having like study tips or, any like educational like post won't really.
Would be too late in the first week of
Exactly.
May.
So it'll be pretty much meaningless.
Two reasons I could see for putting it after our health and safety is that first it would have momentum from them, or we could give them momentum vice versa. And second of all, it would be the start of a new semester for a lot of high schools, so people could be more encouraged to change their note taking or change their test prepping if they got a bad grade from last semester, especially with finals being over in the grade book. So that could help motivate videos.
Didn't you guys talk about having it in February? Because we had ours end of January. So you guys, maybe February, is that possible?
I think it'd be wiser if we could further discuss this in Slack, like you said,
Right.
and we'll come back to you.
But we could also like piggyback off your momentum.
Yeah, so February.
Exactly.
So your options are keep it in May, do it in April, or February. So discuss that too. Anything else? No? Okay, and for community, I loved all the talking in Slack that was going on after my little reminder. Great job. For your diversity fest, I had a couple things. Oh, actually, let's talk about your once a month post, because I have not seen it and we discussed this 2 meetings ago. So what happened to it?
Okay, so we were actually just, looking at that right now, so we really apologize, we kind of, because we're kind of caught up in like planning of our diversity day, because it's a really big event. But, we'll all send out a message in Slack, but we're gonna be planning to do something next meeting regarding one of our events, or we're gonna brainstorm that, and so that should be out 2 weeks after that meeting, if that's okay.
So what date are you thinking?
Like early, late November, or like early December, late November.
So that means you have to have your post done by next week, by the way.
Oh, I was thinking, like, could we not do it like at our next meeting that we have, like whatever that is?
Well, remember, you have to have it 2 weeks before the post date. So if you want to post it in early December, then you need to finish it November 15th-ish.
Of having, are you
By
thinking?
having it done. Okay.
Okay, so you're thinking by basically the 18th of November to have the content submitted like to me.
Yeah, like the emails.
Perfect. And what's the first like that you're planning with that first post?
Like.
Oh yeah, the introduction, so what we was, speaking of last meeting, so we wanna ideally have everyone in the video. So just like we can all go around and like, hey, my name's Sarah, I go to this school, I'm in this grade. And that would be like something really fast like that, we can all just go around and pass like phone and leave.
Is there gonna be like weren't you guys supposed to do like volunteer opportunities? Are you gonna include one in this post?
I think we
I would like to.
yeah, because so this is our like kickoff post or like our first one, we definitely want to like have an introduction, but I think we should also incorporate any one of our volunteering opportunities that's like set, like so. I don't know.
Great, and we have a few coming up, so just hold on to that. Also, are you still planning on doing this once a month? It's okay if you're not, if that's too much.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And then moving on to your diversity fest, me and Gracie were talking about this. I think it's a great idea and I love that, but a lot of the clubs are from schools and a lot of schools host events like this. So have you guys thought about that? Because if you're asking from different schools, like you can't really have like 2 ASUs or 2 KSUs or like all of that. Have you like, if you really want to do this, that's great because it's your ideas, but you need to have a more concrete plan.
So I think their group will share at their subcommittee meeting for an update for everybody too. I asked their group to do outreach at their schools. And so I'd love to hear just more, like I saw some of them in Slack, but I would love to have you guys share with everybody of kind of what was the takeaway from that.
So 2 things. First off, so those are great concerns that you have. They're very relevant and we need to speak about them. So as far as like if we have like two clubs that are both really eager about this, we were thinking of having them collaborate because this will just encourage like, collaboration between the schools, like for future events as well. So I'm sure that's something that they're interested in doing. And if not, if that's not something that comes out, then it will just be like whoever like commits first, they get to be at the event. And then, I know that from Westmont, I received like verbal confirmation from Samita actually, and also from the PSU students, and I have asked CASA, um, CASA and, the Black Student Union, and then the rest of the clubs, I have not found, they don't have like an email or mine, so I'm just like trying to track down like their, presidents and everything, so. But the interest is looking, like, the people, they're trying to like interest right now, and it's looking pretty good, like, there's like a bunch of people that seem like, because I think you can tell that this is gonna be an event that is gonna help them, like, it's gonna benefit them, and it'll be something cool for them.
That's really great. Okay. That's awesome. Proud of this committee because you guys have had the most like Slack activity and you guys have been doing stuff on the side. So great job. Is there any? Okay. Is there anything else?
I think was there more,
Sarah, was there more to that?
or like I
Or
know
Jolie?
other, yeah, everyone reached out, so I want to hear what they.
Oh,
Has a lot of really cool cultural clubs, like,
Folklore, though, you
Yeah,
said, right?
it's so cool. And actually has reached out in a very respectful and very amazing, like, I love doing that. But yeah.
Do you want to share a little bit more, Ashley?
And they all have insurance, but it was just more like they were already had a lot of events going to in March and early April. So they wanted to know a date like as soon as possible, so we could figure that out. And then I was gonna send a follow-up email asking them what they would want to do there, like if they would want to have a booth or maybe like promote their club or perform.
Were they able to share anything of like what their interest level was?
It's like they were very interested, they just have to see what the date was for.
Okay, but they didn't say of like they were interested in like potentially performing or like to what capacity? Okay.
did you guys want to host that at the community center? Like, could we use the Orchard City Banquet Hall?
Yeah, so we're thinking of that, yeah, that's like another thing on our to-do list, was like talking to Nancy about, getting our venues like that, because basically, and Sophie was also saying, like, how this is gonna be different from stuff that we had at our schools. Well, we wanna make this like a bigger scale event, like, we're planning to do food trucks, like, and then we're gonna have our performances. And also we received a confirmation from the DSA, they're super interested in doing that event, and Yasmin is a proud, secretary of the.
Great.
And I think that'll be something like I'll work with your group more on too and in our subcommittees of like, one, I think we definitely need to get the date soon, because especially the OCBH, the banquet hall, it's already so full, like it goes really quickly. So just, I think if there's a few dates that you have and can share with me like this week.
Early April for the other, we were like, wow, like early April, like if you have anything in mind.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, is there like a calendar like that we have, like that has all the events that are already like planned out and we can't use the day with all the time?
I can see the calendar. It's not something unfortunately that I could share with you all of it because it's like in our system and we have like events that the community center does and we have like anyone from the community can rent out and book to use the banquet hall. So it gets like taken all the time. So like weddings will use the banquet hall, birthday party, like so much stuff. So I think if there's, or I can look this week for just anything in early April and kind of see what that looks like and share with your committee in Slack. So I think that will be the biggest time crunch thing for you all, at least in terms of this week. So we could just get a date going and then figure out what that looks like. And I think I'll work with your group too of like, I love the idea of having food trucks. There's some parts about it of like logistic wise and like what we do with some of our events, there are certain food trucks that it's tricky because there's certain food trucks that are easier to work with in the sense of like you don't have to pay for them to come. Yes, like for example, for a lot of events we do in the summer, we invite Kona Ice, like that truck will come out. because it's just basically a great opportunity for them. It's like free advertising, people come, we don't have to pay them anything. Sometimes some food trucks, like, I don't think would be realistic for this because you have to pay like a minimum for them to come, which is tricky because there's certain ones where like they won't come out to you and like waste like profits they could be getting from somewhere else. So sometimes they make you buy a minimum of food to make sure that they're covered for that. So I think we can work together of like what would be realistic, or like, I don't know if any of the clubs that you've reached out to or some other ones like would, yeah, if they have connections or if they want to bring food, like, granted, this was a different event and it was when I was back in high school, but like we did it at lunch and some of our clubs, like their booth that they had was like they had food, like they made tamales and like had different things and cultural foods that their club made and brought. So I don't know if that's something that like that could be something that some of them are interested in doing. We could obviously, we have budget where like we could purchase some food, but like but I don't know if it would be like as specific to the diversity. Yeah.
Decorations, like we wouldn't be doing it, saying that would be a lot of work, but it's something we could do. But it would be easier to like get like someone to, or like go through like a small business or like another party that's willing to like help us out and give some suggestions. Like I don't think it would be too costly to do something like that, but if you have any idea of where our approximate budget would be?
It would be like, and what if
250
it,
for the whole year?
$250.
no, it's usually, I have to ask, because it changes every year, but it's like for the whole, no, it's usually like 3,000 for the year or something. But it just, that also like comes out of like maybe our cost of like shirts and sweatshirts came out of that, and like our
That's
pizza,
divided among each, or, okay.
like the whole commission for the whole year. So it's like
So
shirts and sweatshirts, like our orientation pizza, like all of it comes out of it. So what I would like from your committees, instead of just like, oh, I know the budget's this, is like you tell me, like, what do you think you need? Like, do you want, is your event, like, I'm just gonna use pizza because that's really easy. Do you want to serve pizza for this event? Like, let's say Teen Wellness Day, they served pizza last year. They're planning for 100 people. Like, okay, I know that that's going to be $100 or whatever it is. And that way, like, you tell me, like, these are the needs that we want. And then I can go back and say, like, yes, 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 no, no, no. Of like, we want to have like 1,000 crumble cookies. And I'll be like, not that, or maybe we could do 20. Like, I can come back and see what we want. But it's helpful if you kind of give me what you want as your budget and things that you want to have. So like we want to be able to serve like chips and salsa, guacamole, this and that, and waters and sodas. And then that way I can go back and look at, okay, this is going to cost your group $100. Like that's something we can do, you know, whatever it is. But like write out kind of a list. And this is speaking for any committee. If you have like 14 Wellness Day, for example, map out like what you're wanting to have, so I can look at that at the budget, because then I'll have to like look at everybody's event and see how it will be equitably like distributed, what makes the most sense for all of those, or what are things that we already have here and can resource from the community center, or things that can be donated or whatever else, or prizes and stuff like that. So like I know we talked about for the fun run, we want to do like potentially a prize wheel. Is it prizes we already have here at the commission or community center we can use? Is it a mix of that? Is it like a $20 gift card to somewhere downtown? Like, so it's just kind of planting that seed that there's opportunities, but like if you give me kind of your budgets, that way I can come back and look at those too.
That we might need a plan, like a backup plan after seeing like, because I think we all like knew like what all the logistics would be going into this, but now that like, because you're explaining it really well and you're like breaking it down, it makes me that this is gonna take a lot of work, but we can do it, but maybe have a backup plan.
I think with yours, like, which I love that you're seeing this too, Sarah, is like it is a lot, which is why I want you all to start them now, because it sounds like they're so far off, but like there's so much work that goes into each of these, which is why I wanted each subcommittee to just have one big event and not multiple, because it's a December. And I am trying to be diligent with your time too, because like I shared last meeting, like I won't physically be here after the new year for a while. So I'm trying to best tee, and I don't want to freak you out, but like I want to best tee you all up so that way you feel confident going into your events. Like we will have another, you're not going to be staff liaison list. You will have another staff liaison here in the new year that will take over for me while I'm out. But I want to make sure that you're best set up for success, especially because I've been with you on this journey so far, so I know how everything works. So that's why I'm trying to kind of give you the oomph and give you the push to be able to get some of these teed up. And I know the meetings are long, and of like I get everyone, like I can see it sometimes in the room when they're long, of like, I know you want to go home, like I want to go home, put my sweatpants on too. Okay. Like I totally understand. I'm mindful of your time, but I also want to be mindful of like, if you don't talk to some of these now, they go by the wayside. And there were some events like commissions last year, like did a great job, but there was a lot that like was last minute that it was like had to push, or things that like some commissioners like took a lot of the work on, and some others, it was very sometimes imbalanced. And I'm trying to minimize that so it's not one commissioner feeling like I'm doing all the work and then some that aren't. So I'm trying to make sure that you all are as best balanced as you can be. And so also the staff liaison, like, well, I has to pick up the slack too, because they're your events. And my role is to support you in the events and facilitate and help give you the resources. And obviously I'm there on actual event support as well, but they're really you driven and you led. So like I'm putting that on putting it all on you, because if they don't happen, they don't happen. And it's a bummer because I know you all are so capable of putting on these events, and I know that they will be awesome. So I want to see them happen and to be successful. And so that's why sometimes we talk about these and it seems long, but if you don't flesh these out and you go through them quick, and if I leave the meeting going, I don't know if I understood what they were talking about, then they go long. And then we're here in December and you're like, well, we haven't figured it out.
Okay, last note, just like a quick recap for what we want to do before our next subcommittee meeting. Sorry, I'm so much on Slack, but it's really important in order to get our stuff done. So for the health committee, we need to create like a specific script or questions list for the PD and fire department, as well as plans for the skit. And then and then Monvic and Brandon, like please check on the MIDI Narcan resource. Okay, and then for career and education, lots of talking in Slack you should be doing, is the list of resources for outreach and business and internship stuff. Like you need to be talking about that, as well as what you want to do for your social media week. And then for community, I want to see your once a month post done, please, soon. And then you're like more talking about how and what really is the Diversity Fest. Okay, any questions, Mason?
Speaking of that, my school getting the clubs might be like really difficult because a district got like sued for the clubs. So a lot of really heavy requirements on club outings and just everything club in general. So my thoughts for getting clubs from my school.
Okay, that's okay. Good to know that. Okay, so can we move on? Okay, yeah. Let's move on to new business. Hello? Thank you. All right, so new business, it's Christmas almost, basically. So we have two events that we might want to volunteer for, which is Storytime with Santa and Carol of the Lights. Last year we did Storytime with Santa and it was really fun. It's a chance to actually engage in like the teeny tiny youths of the community. It's really cute. And then you get to meet Santa, guys, if you still believe in that. Just kidding, he definitely exists. And then Carol of the Lights is, okay. is a booth, like where we would be hosting like a booth or a table of crafts at, where is this event for?
So Carol of the Lights is in downtown Campbell. Has anyone been before? Yay, perfect. Yeah, so it's in downtown Campbell, so like down the main strip, kind of where they do like Oktoberfest and some of the other events. And it's actually hosted by the Downtown Business Association. And they asked if we wanted to have a table to either have a craft or a game. It'd be really whatever you want, pin the ears on the elf, whatever, whatever it is. So what we would need to know, and this will come up soon because they need to know if we want to have a table by November 15th. So we would need to know like people who are interested, and I can like collect it on Slack from you so you don't have to decide right now. I want you to check your calendars, obviously check with parents if they're your ride dependent for that and the timing, but I'll put it out in Slack because it would be great to know. This Friday's the 8th. So it would be to backtrack, Storytime with Santa is actually, it's on the Friday before, so it's on December 6th. It is also on Sunday, December 8th. Carol of Lights is on the Saturday. So it's basically an event Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 2 different events. I don't expect everyone to go to both events or all 3 times, all 3 days. What I would want to have is representation at both events, Storytime with Santa and Carol of Lights. I don't expect like Anisha to be at both events unless she was like, I really, really want to be there. Awesome. I would never turn you down to come to both. But I would love to see some youth commission representation at both of those in some capacity. And you don't have to decide tonight. I will be sharing the sign up links in Slack this week for Storytime with Santa. And I'll also share a post about Carol of Lights to collect your interest. So to let me know, that way I can let them know by the 15th of who's interested and kind of what the plan is for the table for Carol of Lights. Storytime with Santa, kind of what Sophie said, you're helping. Santa comes down from the North Pole. It's a very busy time of year. He reads a story to families, register for the event. So it's their families and little ones. So he'll read a story and then it's held where we have our subcommittee meetings in the preschool rooms. So they will have families in those rooms. So after he reads the story, what our volunteers help out with is helping with keeping families entertained. So we have crafts and games and everything. So that way kids aren't waiting in a long line to meet Santa. They're like kept busy until it's their time to meet Santa. Then they'll meet Santa, take their photo and go. So volunteers help with like overall with the event. You'll be engaging with kiddos and their families and the activities. You might be an elf that's helping with Santa and helping with photos. And like Santa has obviously his elves got little presents for them, so you'll help pass those out. So that's overall kind of what the event is. The timings for them, just as a heads up, and I'll put these in Slack as well. The Friday, the shift would basically be like 5:30 to 9:15. And then the Sunday for Storytime with Santa is like 1:30 to 5:30. Carol of Lights, which is the Saturday, is from 4 to 7 p.m. I'll share those. So you don't have to memorize them all right now, but just start thinking about it because we'll need to know like who's available for what coming up sooner if you have interest. They are both really fun events. And at least with Storytime with Santa, this is similar to Oktoberfest. If you have any friends that are interested in volunteering, they can sign up. So I'll put that link in Slack. So if they need volunteer hours, this is a great event for volunteer hours because it's super fun and it's super cute of like, it's a really good way to get volunteer hours for that.
Okay, so these 2 events are the ones that I was talking about for you guys to include in your post. So the links on Slack to sign up for the volunteering will be sent. And I highly recommend that you include that on your monthly post. Okay, you had something to say?
How these forms are available with for volunteering about, because I want to hear it. With CSF, because like I have to, but like also these were the service hours like a lot, so it will be good.
I will share it in Slack because I don't know. Let me see if I can find it right now. how many there are for each day for story time with Santa. I don't know if they're doing volunteers for the Carol of Lights booth or if that's just a youth commission table. I'll get clarity on that and let you know. It looks like there are for Storytime with Santa, both Friday and Sunday, it's 15 slots for each day. 15 total. With you all.
Does everyone like, okay, just like, you don't have to answer like definitively now, but who's like thinking about that they want to do story time with Santa? I know that I want to, so.
So I think we can try to hold.
Okay, so maybe don't share the story time with Santa because I know that the other organization that like Tiffany led last year also like brought in people, right?
I would still share it.
Okay.
It'll just let them know like if they're interested, it's gonna fill up quick. So I think it's still fine to share it. And if you have friends who are super go-getters and sign up right away, awesome. If they get to it late and it's full, it's full.
Is the
But I
Carol of
think
the Lights like a volunteer thing too, or
that's
just
when I need to
part?
get clarity of like if it's just a youth commission table or if it's volunteer, because I know we don't coordinate the volunteers for that one since it's through the Downtown Business Association. But Storytime with Santa is run like through our department, hosted here, 15 slots each day. So, and that's also between Friday, Sunday. So I don't expect like all of you to be there Friday and Sunday. And again, I really, really want to. But if like that was what, maybe 8 people that raised their hand, I don't know if you're all Friday or if you're all Sunday, or if it was like 4 people for Friday, 4 people for Sunday. That's still a decent amount of slots. So I think it's still worth sharing with people that you know that are interested to volunteer because we share the opportunity out on our social media. So it still gets widely publicized and they have to know that it goes by quickly. So I think there's no problem with you sharing it with friends that you know that are interested in 8 hours.
Just to clarify, like if you do it, then you're dressing up as an elf, right?
They do have fun accessories for volunteers. They have little elf ears and vests. They also have reindeer ears to wear for the event. So it is a fun, if you're a festive person too, I highly encourage you. It is a fun event. And you get to be with the little ones and help to bring some holiday cheer and magic. So of really bringing that when you come to the event as well too. And it's really cute.
If you're gonna go, be happy. Like actually, like I know that it's funny to say that, but I swear if little kids start crying because you're walking around like, oh my God, okay, come and meet Santa. Like that's not fun for anyone. Like if you're not happy, it's okay. You don't have to go to that one. But if you're there, be happy and be like jolly. Okay. Sarah?
So I was gonna say, our advertising video, we really want everyone to have some sort of like spirit there. So if that's like an issue, like we can arrange for like, I have a lot, like at home.
At the event, they also like provide you with accessories. Like last year, I didn't. Okay.
And I would, Sarah, for that too, put it in Slack, or if you want me to post anything for you all. So if you want to film it on the subcommittee meeting on the 18th, just post and let everybody know like what you hopefully want them to bring or wear, so that, or I can help to post on your behalf of reminders too, but like put it in there so that people know before the 18th.
And can we designate the first or maybe the last 10 minutes of the meeting to that? Because I don't want to take time out of our like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then if anyone's late, then we can just do it at the end.
Great. Is that
I think that's it, other than I want to just do a plug for those dates for the calendar.
Okay. So that's almost it, guys. We're almost done. So calendar reminders, our next subcommittee meeting is November 18th. So we have a lot of stuff to get done before then. And then our next youth commission meeting, like one of the recorded meetings, is December 2nd. And then the the subcommittee meeting after that is December 16th. So, oh yeah. Oh, and that's the last one before New Year's. So we don't have a lot of time. So definitely make sure you're talking on Slack. So.
Yeah, and then the fun run, just so it's on your radars, but it's a ways, will be February 8th. That's the Valentine's fun run. So it's always that Saturday before Valentine's Day. But yeah, 3 more meetings left before 2025 and 3 more meetings left while I'm here. So just keep those on your radars and obviously we'll give you reminders.
Does anyone have any last questions? No?
Actually,
Oh, okay.
it might sound kind of dumb, but while we're gone, I'll still be available to staff, right?
I will not. So when I am out, I will be like not working, like fully out.
You'll be like, gone for the rest of the time.
I don't think it'll be the rest of the I don't know. I don't know fully how long I'll be out, but I know like, especially like January, February, like March, I won't be able at all.
I
So
trust.
that's that, because I will be like off, like I'll be out on like disability, like out. Out. So,
Okay.
with a baby. So that's why I want to try to get you all set up and I will prepping stuff. That's why I'll be really busy these next 2 months for you all with resources. You guys are ready to get going. But I want to make sure that you guys have these.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. I missed my stretchy pants. I'm ready to go home too. I will be sharing all this. The goal is to also have the interim staff liaison to come, I think, in that December meeting so that she can kind of be here in transition and like see how we do things, like kind of work with me. So that way it's hopefully a smoother transition for you all into January. And I will be leading stuff with her too. Also, I don't know if all of you have met Lauren Council. She's my supervisor. She'll also be available as well too. So she'll be also like a great resource for asking questions as well too. So I won't be available during that time, but I will make sure that you all are set up for success for all of that. So I would not stress, but I want to make sure you guys are good.
I trust that you'll leave us in good hands. Okay, anyone else? Okay. Meeting ends adjourned
At 8:26.
at 8:26. Thank you, Gracie. You can cover everything, right?
Well. Well, that's.